Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my quarter 2 book haul for you. If you're new to my channel, I do this every quarter where I just kind of check in, talk about all the books I've acquired, but also do a brief look at my stats and my overall TBR. I'm currently trying to reduce my TBR, and I'm also trying to read 60% of the new books that I bring into my library. So those are the things I kind of check in on at the end of each quarter. So for this quarter, I do have to say that my TBR grew a little bit. I had 351 books at the start of the quarter. I have 355 unread books at the end of the quarter, but that's not a huge rise, and I'm okay with that given that my reading really took a nosedive in the second quarter. So ultimately I think it would have evened out a little bit more had I been reading more throughout April through June, but I wasn't, and that's okay. So that was a pretty good thing. It didn't rise too much. The better thing though is that my overall percentage for my new books that I've read is at 51.6%. I've read just shy, or just more than half of the, I think it was 31 books I've hauled so far this year, including the 18 that I have to haul today. Of these 18, I've read about half. I've read just slightly less than half of this quarter's books. So I'm feeling really good about that. That's got me really close to my 60% goal for the year, and I'm feeling like that is increasingly doable for me, which is very exciting. I guess the other thing I have to mention is I read 5 of my owned books, things that were on my TBR prior to the start of 2025, and I unhauled 2 books. It was The Ivory Key, which I did read, and The Prison Healer, which I DNF'd. Oh, also I should mention, in that like 60% stat, I am including DNFs in like completed books of my new books in my library. If I pick something up and don't like it, I'm not going to like punish myself for not enjoying it. So that was the other thing I wanted to mention. But now we can dive straight into the book haul. Hi, Maisie. Hi, Maisie girl. Oh my goodness, you gonna join the book haul? Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to come say hello? Hang on, my dog has decided she wants to be a part of the party here. Come here. Do you want to come say hello? Oh, smacking the tripod with our tail. Come here, girl. Real quick. We'll make it quick. This is our 22 pounds of love, Miss Maisie girl. Say hi to the camera, Maisie. You don't like cameras too much, so I'm not going to make her be up here for too long, but she's a sweet girl. Yes, now we put you back down on the floor. Yes, give you all the scritches. Yes, you're a good girl, Maisie. Oh, she's got an itch. Okay. Oh, and she's covered in fuzz too. Okay, so that's Maisie. Maisie wanted to say hello, and now I think she's about to go downstairs and look for my partner. But now we can dive into the book haul. So I kicked off this quarter by buying a bunch of manga. I ended up picking up Jujutsu Kaisen volumes 2, 3, 4, and 6. I had previously read 2, 3, and 4 from the library, but I've decided I want to collect it physically. And then 6 is the volume I'm currently on. This is the only volume in this stack that I have not read. I also picked up the official character guide because I realized the way that I'm reading it, I'm having trouble remembering who all of the characters are from volume to volume. So I'm not counting that as an unread book. It's not something I'm probably going to like sit down and read cover to cover, but I did want to mention it because I did pick it up and I think it's a pretty cool resource. And then Phantom Tales of the Night Volume 4 and Way of the House Husband Volume 7, both of which I've already read, and I really like all of these series. The next few books I picked up were all sequels. So I read Ninth House earlier this year, and I picked up the sequel Hellbent. I do want to get to this one soon. I feel like this is a series, if I don't go ahead and read the sequel fairly soon, I probably just like won't read it at all. So I went ahead and picked that one up. Then I also picked up, actually I pre-ordered, A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. I actually read an arc of this, so I loved this one. I read it well before I got it, but I had trouble getting A Tainted Cup last year after I read the arc of that one. For some reason my Barnes & Noble was always sold out of them, and I was having trouble finding it, so I went ahead and pre-ordered this one because I knew I loved it, and I wanted to have a copy on my shelves. Then we have A Tomb of Dragons by Catherine Addison, which is the conclusion to the Cemeteries of Amalo series. Very excited to pick this one up. It's one of my favorite series, and I'm curious to see how Thara Kalahar's story is going to wrap up. And then finally, I also have the conclusion to the Last Blood Carver duology. This is His Mortal Demise. I hate the new cover changes. They had some really beautiful cover art for this. They changed it. Still kind of salty about it, but I am intrigued to see where this is going to go because the end of the first book leaves off at a really interesting point. So I'm curious to see how this is going to deal with the fallout of the decisions made at the end of the previous book. Next up, we have The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This was another pre-order for me. I pre-order all of his books, and I am a little before halfway currently. I started this back in April and ended up needing to set it down for a little while, and then I've just been slumping. So this is what I'm hoping to get back to in July, but I am really enjoying this one so far. It's a vampire story, and I think a really interesting iteration of that. It's definitely different from other vampire stories I've read. Then we have Small Game by Blair Braverman, which I picked up for my Works Book Club a few months ago. Really enjoyed this, like, way more than I thought I was going to. It's a survival story about some people who are on a reality TV show that goes wrong, and I just really was surprised at how much I enjoyed this. It's been a while since I've read something like this. It was billed as a thriller, and I would say it's very much not that. I would call it more suspense and more survival along the lines, a more modern twist on something like Hatchet or My Side of the Mountain, but with older characters and sort of a group of people instead of a single individual trying to survive on their own. Then we picked up Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I got this while I was at Barnes & Noble with my mom, and one of the reasons I picked this one up was I've been trying to read more fantasy romance because I realized that for a long time I've said I don't like romance. I realized what I mean is I don't love contemporary romance, and I don't like romantasy. So I'm trying to figure out what I do like in fantasy romance. I know I love Freya Marsk's writing, and I love T. Kingfisher's horror. So I feel like if I'm going to like a fantasy romance, T. Kingfisher is a safe bet for me because I just love her writing. So I'm excited to give this one a try and see if maybe this is more of a kind of fantasy romance that I enjoy. Then I've got another series conclusion in Strange New World by Vivian Shaw. This is the end of the Dr. Greta Helsing series. I love these books. They're really charming characters, a little bit silly, a little over the top, but so much fun. We're following Greta Helsing throughout the series, who is a doctor for monsters and the undead, and she has this kind of mismatched crew of friends who help her at each story. There's always some sort of mystery that she's trying to solve, some sort of danger that they get into, and the way that they like rely on each other and lean on each other is just really charming and cute and very human, despite all of the monsters, and I just really like this aspect of the series. Then I got The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, which I wanted to pick up because I loved The Blade itself, and I've heard his writing just gets better and better throughout the First Law universe, and this I believe is his first adult book that's not set in that universe, so I'm curious to see what he's going to do with like an entirely new cast of characters, and also I've heard that this is like really funny, it's got a lot more action, and I'm interested to see how I like this in comparison to The First Law, which is a very character-oriented story. These last three books I have here are ones that I bought while I was visiting Barnes & Noble with some friends who were visiting from out of town. One of my best friends, who I haven't seen in a couple of years, came to visit with her girlfriend, and we went, and while we were wandering, one of these I picked up because it's Strange Houses by Uketsu, and I didn't know that Uketsu had a new book coming out, but I love a spooky house story, so I had to pick this one up. And then we were wandering and found the Barnes & Noble edition of Someone You Can Build a Nest In, and my best friend also picked up a copy of this. We both wanted to read it. She has since started it and said that it's fantastic, so I'm extra excited to get to it. This one's a sapphic horror story about a monster and a monster hunter, which sounds really fun. Again, I'm trying to kind of see what I like in terms of romances in various like kind of horror, fantasy, sci-fi, etc. So I really wanted to give this one a try, and again, I love the color scheme. These are some of my favorite colors. I love green and purple together, so that worked out well for me. And then a Barnes & Noble employee saw me wandering around with this one and was immediately like, oh, fantastic choice. It's so, so good. So I was like, well, now I have to buy it. I was kind of considering it, and then I was like, well, now I have to buy it. And a few minutes later, that same employee came back, and he was holding Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin, sorry, and said, if you like Someone You Can Build a Nest In, you have to read Eat the Ones You Love. They're both sapphic horror, they're both fantastic, they're very different, but they're both like wonderfully written. You've got to give them a try. So again, I was like, I'm convinced, I have to try this. And this one is a reimagining of not Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors, that one, different classic movie. And I have not seen Little Shop of Horrors, so I think at some point it'll be really fun to watch the movie and read the book. It just sounds really interesting. It's about these two women working in a florist shop, and a plant in the shop wants to eat one of them. And that's all I know. So these are all of the books that I have hauled this quarter, along with some manga. I couldn't get this on the stack, and I'm trying very hard not to drop these books to my dog at the moment, so we're just gonna roll with it. But yeah, these are all the books that I have hauled this quarter. Let me know down in the comments below if you read any of these and what your thoughts were, and I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.